Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you, and not surprisingly I'm still building in Chestnut Ridge, and I decided that I wanted to create like a converted barn. So I figured maybe there was this like kind of barn seemingly almost in the middle of nowhere, but that someone bought and converted like into their loft home. I just thought that would be really cute and kind of like it made a lot of sense in this world. And also, I apologize for not like posting really last week. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I feel like I've been a little bit like creatively a little like burnt out, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to get back into that like creative space and like get those creative juices flowing. So again, apologies for not posting much last week. I just like, I'm fine. I just, I wasn't like inspired to build anything in particular, but then I thought about doing this like converted barn and I was like, that would be so cute. You know what I mean? Like being able to utilize a building that may have already been there and like updating it a little bit. And this isn't like a pack exclusive build, but I did try to like use a lot of the horse ranch items, so it makes sense in this world. And I did put a small like horse stable here as well, so you can still have a horse here, and there is also an enclosed area where you could have sheep and goats if you would like to. And I figured like in this world you could easily take your horse for a ride and take them to like the equestrian center and stuff like that, so you wouldn't necessarily need to have like a ton of room on your lot, you know what I mean? Because realistically horses need like a ton of room, just like a ton of room, right? But like I wanted to build on this smaller lot, and I just figured, like I said, you could kind of like take your horse out to wherever or go for a ride, like that kind of thing. And I just thought this was such a pretty lot, and I believe this is a 20 by 20, and it's kind of like in that like not like mountainy area, but like I don't know, ridge area, I don't know, anyways. And I think it's called Canyon Crossing, actually, is the name of this lot, if you were wondering. And I always include those details in the description of my video, like where it is, how much it is, like all that kind of stuff, in case you're ever curious. Obviously, you do not have to place this build where I built it, but like it, was built knowing that it was being built on that lot, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you can put it wherever you want to. You can put it on a bigger lot. Like, you can download it and do whatever you want with it. It is already up on the Sims 4 gallery if you want to download under my ID, spicensprinkles, all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. But I finally was able to use like the shutters on this window, and I really like loved this kind of like greeny blue, more so I guess green swatch that we got with this pack. And I kind of went in with that kind of aesthetic along with maybe some lighter wood tones, and I think it ended up looking really, really pretty inside. And there's just like a bunch of natural lighting. You can see I added windows kind of all over the place, but I really think it's just a cute lot. And I actually end up adding a basement in here, so when I get to the time of having to actually put in stairs or a ladder or something to get to that lofted area, like I don't know why, I just really wanted to use stairs, and it was so difficult. I cut a lot of that footage out because I was like, people don't have to watch me struggle doing this. But just so you know, it did take me a little while to do, but I ended up using that, and I ended up having this like random space next to it, like a one tile wide space. And so I actually end up putting stairs down to a basement. So I actually create a nectar basement, and it has like a small like bar down there and everything, and a place for you to store your nectar. And I've heard, I don't know if this is actually true, so please correct me if I'm wrong, that if you age nectar in a basement that it ages faster. I don't know, like let me know. I've heard that. Is that true? But so I thought it might be a good place to actually have that down in the basement. And I will also say that I struggled quite a bit here in the kitchen. And I think part of the reason is I am not the biggest fan of these cabinets. I'm not going to lie. I think it's because of the swatches. Like I wish we had like, so this looks like a very natural wood, possibly like kind of distressed depending on the swatch. I kind of wish we had some swatches that weren't quite as like natural or distressed looking, if that makes sense. Because I wanted it to be like a barn ranchy kind of vibe, but I didn't want it to be like super rustic, if that makes sense. And so I struggled a lot with it. I end up actually kind of changing the whole thing. So all of a sudden, I think like we're going to jump and it's just going to be kind of different because I was struggling so much with it. I was like, this is taking forever and I don't want to torture people. that have to watch me go through a bunch of different swatches, different floors, different walls. Like I tried so many different things. So we end up using this cabinetry. I believe it is from, oh my goodness, I always forget. I don't know why I always mix up Island Living and Jungle Adventure. The two of those I always mix up. I think this is Jungle Adventure. Yes, this is Jungle Adventure. And I think I liked the like wood tone that we had here, and I thought it mixed really well with what I'd already established on the outside of the build. So we do use that. It's still like a really nice wood, but it just looks a little different. Do you know what I mean? And so we end up having this really nice like area where people can hang out, and using those like sliding barn looking doors as the archway, and it ended up looking so cozy in here. And you saw that I actually built like 2 rooms off of this. So one of them is actually the bathroom. It's a pretty large bathroom, and the one with the archway is actually going to be a laundry room. And originally I put in some like nectar like racks in there, but when I made the nectar room downstairs, I ended up moving those down there. So it'll end up being just like a little bit different. But I thought it made a lot more sense to have it down there. And I kind of thought that maybe like, since this is like the back door of the house, that maybe we'd have this little like hutch in here, kind of like, this isn't quite really a mud room, right? It's like the kitchen, but I thought maybe you'd come in there and maybe hang up your jackets if you're outside, like your shoes, that kind of thing. So we put that piece in there, and then again, just adding in a little bit of the laundry day stuff in here. And we take out the nectar racks, and we end up putting that new clutter item that has like the broom and the bucket and everything. We actually end up putting that in here, and I really like the way that this place turned out. I was really excited. The outside was not too terrible to do, except for the roof. I struggled so much with the roof, and I feel like I always do that. I've done like a few barn like builds, and I always struggle with the roof, whether it's matching it up or making it look like just not weird. I don't know. I feel like not everybody struggles with that, but for me, that is a struggle, like to try to figure out how to set up the roof and make it look normal and not weird. And I think we finally got there, and I do like that I didn't do like a continuous roof, like it did have that break in it, so we have a little space to put some windows. I was about to say mirrors. No, we put windows there, and which I think helps bring in light, because I think barns are a little bit difficult too if you have a roof like on both sides, like all the way up, like you can't let any more extra light in, you know what I mean? So I think we kind of got the best of both worlds in here, and I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know why, but like that just made me think of the Hannah Montana song. Anyways, we're gonna move on. That literally is just what popped into my head just now. But you can see I'm putting in the stairs here, and it just kind of then works. We're already in the basement because I cut that out. It took me quite a while. I tried to like do something interesting with the stairs because I just really didn't want to use a ladder. Like, I know that like in a converted barn, I feel like, you have that lofted area, like it would make sense for it to have a ladder, but I don't know. I just really wanted to use stairs, maybe because it was just a bigger space, but I don't know. That's just like, I feel like I get these ideas in my head of exactly what I want the build to look like, and then I just have to figure out how to make it work. If that makes sense. Like, it's hard for me to give up on like an idea I have for a build. And like I said, down here we actually I tried to maybe put a table down here, but then I thought that might be kind of confusing because we do end up having like a dining space upstairs. So I end up actually just putting in a bar instead, which again I thought made sense. Like if this is going to be like the nectar making room, like maybe they do taste testing down here or just like hang out, that kind of thing. But I just kind of like that idea. I tried to use the one that came with horse ranch, but it was just so big for this space, and it just felt a little bit over the top, if that makes sense. So we swapped it out for this other one, again trying to go for some wood tones. And I don't know why I struggled so much with bar stools too, like trying to decide which bar stools I wanted to use upstairs in the kitchen and down here. Like it really took me a while, and I don't know why. Like I feel like there's always something in builds when I'm like, like, why is this difficult? Why am I being super indecisive about it? But that was a decision that was like really hard for me to make, and I don't know why. And sorry I talked so much about bar stools, but like that's just, the reality when you're building sometimes. Like something just doesn't like match up with what you think you want, and so you kind of have to figure out how to make it work, because this is obviously a game. You can't necessarily do whatever you want to. And I will say also that like the kind of some of the roof areas were doing some weird stuff. I think because downstairs, like, I don't know, the basement, Oh, I think it's because, oh yeah, I remember, because I was having some issues with it, and because I have I was gonna say a platform, no, a foundation on this build, it kind of does some weird stuff with the basement ceiling. So if you see, and it's like a little odd or off, like that's why, and I didn't want to give up the foundation, so I just decided that depending, if you look really closely, the ceiling might look a little funny. But I did actually paint all of the ceilings in here as well. And we made this like super cozy living space. I actually ended up using some of the stuff from the Book Nook kit because they just felt really cozy. Like I said, like I figured this was like a converted, not like modern barn, but like just, I don't know. Like just it has more luxurious items than maybe like the pack has. I don't know. Like I wanted it just to be like really cozy, if that makes sense. And I didn't just want to use the items from the pack. I just like, budgets are hard for me. I feel like limited pack builds are hard for me because I really like combining all of the objects, if you know what I mean. Like it just, I don't know, like it's difficult for me. So I just wanted to use a bunch of other items, and we do end up having that like case in here. I do end up like going into debug and finding the like trophies. Now obviously if you want to play with this and like you're gonna earn your own trophies, like you can delete those out, but I just really like the way they looked, you know what I mean, like a really nice like full like glass cabinet in there, but you can take those out. I also end up putting some of those like horse riding medals like by the stairs that go down to the nectar room. So if you want to delete those as well, of course you can do so. And because I know I like to say that, like if you download it, it doesn't have to stay the same. You can, you know, change it, like whatever's going to fit your gameplay and the Sims that you have, if that makes sense. And so just adding in a little bit of clutter around here, because you know what, I can't help myself. I really cannot help myself. Like I always just need items, like, which is like so funny. It's like I like clutter, and like even in like my real life, like, oh my gosh, that just sounded so weird, like in my actual home. I feel like that sounds a little more normal. Like I really like nice accent pieces and things like that, but and like so clutter in terms of like, you know, it being cozy, but I don't just like a lot of things. I don't know. And I don't know why I'm going off on that tangent, but maybe it's because I feel like I haven't talked to y'all in so long that like I'm just like talking like a ton, because it has been a little while since I didn't post, since I really didn't post last week. And I did actually today, I recorded some shorts, or like some, yeah, short form videos. So hopefully I'll be getting those out soon as well. I know I haven't been doing as many of those, just trying to juggle like long form and short form. Like it's just, I feel like I get into like a mood to do one or the other, if that makes sense. So whether I do like full builds or like rooms. And up here in the loft, I struggled with the loft, I'm not going to lie. I think I really wanted to use the beds that came with the Horse Ranch pack, but they were not speaking to me. Like I really tried, but they just didn't seem like they fit exactly what I wanted. And the same thing like with the rugs, I had a hard time. Like I thought, well, maybe if I pick out a rug, that'll help guide me, like, in trying to figure out what to do with this room. But then, like, that didn't really help any. And I really thought maybe I could use the Growing Together rug, because I kind of like the aesthetic it has. Like, I feel like the aesthetic could have matched, but the colors didn't really. So it was just, it was a whole thing. But we do get there, and I think it's so lovely up here. Really nice, big living space with a nice office. Now, you can probably actually make this into 2 bedrooms if you wanted to, you know what I mean? Like you could probably easily do that, but I just kind of left it as one big space for the owners of this converted barn, and just kind of putting in those really pretty curtains that have that like kind of gold, like leafy, design on it. I was about to say texture. That's not a texture. That's a design. And again, just trying to pull in a bunch of pieces from Horse Ranch, and actually matched really nicely with that eco lifestyle bed. Like the wood actually matched. So I was really happy about that. And it made it look like it was actually a set, and like that it was very like intentionally bought, if that makes sense. Although like obviously having an eclectic space is not bad either. It's just this build has been more so like everything matched really well, if if that makes sense. And I end up using those really pretty bookcases we got with Growing Together on that wall and just putting a bunch of storage and stuff in there. Like, I honestly am really happy with the way the loft eventually turned out. It was just a little bit of a struggle. And like I said, I was very happy that we could actually put some windows across there, because when I do barns, like a lot of times you lose that space because of the roofing. But I am happy that we were able to put some of those in there. And I love those little windows. I just think it just looks so cute. And I do end up putting like a large chandelier over that open space as well. I don't know if we're gonna get a shot of that or not. We may not, because I feel like it's kind of hard to see unless you're on the like loft floor and like looking out intentionally in that direction. It's kind of hard to see because it doesn't like hang all the way down into the first floor, if that makes sense. But I do end up putting in like one of those, like, I don't know, what do you call them? I want to call it a ranch welcome sign. Like, you know what I mean? The big arch, the thing, you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, why am I blanking so hard on what like you would call that? But you'll see. I end up putting that in the front, and I actually think it looked really good. I originally thought that it wouldn't look good because I thought maybe it would block too much of the build, but I think it looks really nice. And like, I end up putting like a nice grill out here and a little picnic table, like so that, you know, your Sims can hang out back here as well. But I figured they don't necessarily need like a ton of space because I feel like this world has a lot of places for your Sims to go. And then we just end up adding in the horse area on the side. Originally, I was thinking that side yard was just going to be maybe for goats and sheep and not necessarily for a horse. But then I was like, you know what? It's the horse ranch pack. I want to include a space for a horse. Now, obviously, you can take that stuff out if you don't actually want to have a horse. But I end up actually putting like a roof that attaches to the home, so it's kind of like a small little like extension of the home, like so somewhere for that horse to hang out. I was about to say those horses, no, there's space for one horse. And we do end up putting like the ball toy for the horses out there as well, so your horse does have something to do here, but of course you'd have to take them like riding and training elsewhere since this is such a small lot. And I am surprised honestly that I was able to fit such a large build and like space for a horse on a 20 by 20. Honestly, like I was really surprised. I didn't think that was going to work super well, but like I said, we do end up putting in like a little roof here, and I think it ends up being like super cute. I end up using the like stable fencing, and I think we end up using the I think we might use the white and black swatch. Originally I tried with the green and like with the light wood that matched like the columns, but it just didn't, it felt just very like, it didn't feel like it stood out, if that makes sense. And we do have those black accents there on the house already, so I believe I end up swapping that out because it just, I don't know, I liked it being like having a little more of a pop when you look at the house, like you could really see like that's where the horse lives, like I don't know. And I don't know why that statement sounded so funny coming out of my mouth, but we end up adding like a bunch of terrain paint here, like, and just trying to make it look kind of like, you know, a little bit of grass, a little bit of dirt, a little bit like almost like a red clay, like just kind of like, I'm thinking if you have like a horse out there, like the, you know, the yard is not going to be perfect, right? Like there's going to be like a lot going on with it. And so just kind of putting some finishing touches here on the landscaping. And again, I try not to do too much because I feel like this is a very dry area, so you wouldn't have like a ton of plants, but just adding in a few stones here as well. Just like, I feel like it just makes it feel really welcoming and like cozy. I don't know. And maybe even a little bit rustic. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.